So really excited to be here with you guys today to kind of explore this idea of cycles and specifically digging into the idea of cycles, creativity, and what I like to say, the mosaic of misfits. But before we get started, grab your phone. Grab your phone, get it out, open up the camera app, whatever one you use. Scan that QR code. We're gonna have a moment, everyone. Our friends over at Picture Booth have given us a digital, portable photo booth that fits in your phone. So I want you to take it out. Everybody got it? Should have a screen that looks kind of like this. All right, go into it. I want you all to take a picture on the count of 3. Are you ready? Well, that was not 3. And you left your volume on. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you. Feel free to take pictures throughout. Feel free to use them. You'll be able to see these images populate, so you see your friends, make funny pictures, funny faces. So feel free, and thank you so much to our friends over at Picture. But enjoy yourself, enjoy your time with your photo booth. This is yours. And I'm probably gonna leave it up for the rest of the day if you just want to spam into random photos of you and your dog on a walk, whatever. That's fine. So let's get started. 45 years ago, my parents met and connected over a love of, well, each other and of art. They believed that people needed more access to beautiful things. And they wanted creative discovery to be a thing that people were a part of. And beyond that, they wanted artists to have a place, artists that were under or unrepresented to have a place to show up. There's a story, it's possibly apocryphal, I don't know, about my parents that I love. I haven't actually asked my mom, who's sitting right there. She's a red-haired beauty right there. I haven't actually asked her fully if this is true, because I don't really want to know. I heard it once and I'm rolling with it. But the story is that my father was a dreamer. That's not a story, that's the truth. My father was a dreamer, and he always had big ideas. He didn't always have money to pay for the big ideas, but he had big ideas. And as the story goes, my mother at the time was a vice president at Chase Manhattan Bank, back before they swallowed up everybody. And he came into her office with this idea for an event, for a concept. She knew she wasn't gonna fund it, but he was interested. And so they had coffee and it's true. Yay, it's true, it's been confirmed. And you guys being a part of my journey and helping me bring closure to 43 years of a story that I'll believe. So, though she didn't fund that, they would later go on to create an organization by the name of With These Hands. And With These Hands was an organization that gave opportunities for black and brown artists who were, I'm not even gonna say underrepresented, because that's nice. They were unrepresented and nobody ever shut about them, to have opportunities to be showcased. But they didn't do it in the traditional ways, because there also weren't a lot of galleries in the 90s and in the late 80s and early 90s that were clamoring for black art. So they just made the spaces, whether it was a community center or a church, whether it was a lunchroom. These places became the spaces where art was experienced. Now we call them pop-up galleries, right? We have names for them, we talk about it. Back then it was, my father or my mother had a relationship or a connection with someone. We had a space or a building or a basement and said, can we put up some easels and put up some art? And they said yes. So I grew up around some of the most creative and brilliant people in the world. The friends of my family were artists. The friends of my family were musicians. There's a story that, who's familiar with the artist Romare Bearden? So Romare Bearden is one of the great artists of any age, and my mother knew him and his family. And after Romare Bearden passed, his widow came to my mother and offered to sell her a print, which my mother declined. Clearly this is going to be interactive with nowhere else. But she couldn't afford it. The declining was because she couldn't afford it, but it's significantly cheaper then than it would have been trouble. I think we could have done a GoFundMe, but that didn't exist back then. We always found ourselves in places where art was celebrated because all the places that we went into were places where art was celebrated. It was a beautiful time. And one of the things that helped me understand is this idea of familiarity as it relates to creativity. My parents didn't go in looking for new spaces. They didn't go in looking for spaces that were different. They recreated the places that were comfortable, because often in our rush to seek the creative, we actually end up seeking the novel. That's fine, and there's a place for that, but we overlook the power of reimagined familiarity. Creativity isn't about grand gestures or monumental moves, always. Sometimes it's about the small things. The ordinary moments that, when curated with intention, create something extraordinary. Sometimes it's about exploring things you overlook and seeing what's there if the perspective changes. Sometimes you see things differently because things that don't usually fit together suddenly, for some reason, do. And sometimes you have to be a little different to see a little different. Today I want to explore how creativity lives in the cycles of connection, courage, and discovery, and how those cycles and the people that chase them shape the way we work, collaborate, and in the process, help us find our spark. I grew up in Brooklyn in the 90s. It was a magic time, right? It had the culture, the community, the creativity that so many neighborhoods now clamor for. There was this genuine sense of knowing the people who lived around you. To be on the block was to be a part of the block. And you knew who on the block had what. You knew that Miss Fisher could cook. Oh God, could she cook? You knew that the guy next door was an African drum circle. You knew the DJs. You knew the people, and by DJs I mean people with big speakers who liked music. You knew these folks, and you knew what they contributed to the community that you were a part of. When they all came together, there was something magical called the block party that happened. We tried to chase it here, but not quite like it is there. Block parties weren't flashy at all. They were the neighbor with the big speakers, putting them, if not outside, then opening the windows and turning them outward and playing music. It was kids selling lemonade or dancing in the middle of the street. It was neighbors filling the air with the smell of heaven. It was beautiful. One of the things that I've realized over time is that taught me the power of shared experience. And that the power of shared experience is where that creativity and that community lives. These people, we came together for the sole purpose of hanging out with our friends, for the sole purpose of being with our neighbors. But in the process, we created something more. In the process, the creativity spilled from the stoop to the streets, and things happened there. Things were created there. This reminds me a lot of events that we've done, like the Birthday Party Project's 11th anniversary. It was an event that I like to call a team lift event because there were so many partners involved in making it possible. Designers and developers, programmers, projection artists, visual artists. So many people came together to make this happen. And the only way it could have happened is if the community had come together to create something more than the individual. Honestly, it's a lot like CreativeMornings, right? You show up here with the hope that you'll connect with someone about something you don't know what. You know one thing. You know the same thing in this room as you know when you walk into a concert venue. You know nothing about the person sitting next to you, presumably, but you know you like the same artist. You know you're there for the same talk. So my question becomes, if you know that, what else is there? We looked at it a little bit last month with Thread, right? Where the thread was going around the room. But that's real life. Like, what if you, at the next concert, when you're standing at the bar, or you're waiting in line at the bathroom, maybe not that, that's weird. You're standing in line at the bar, if you're starting up a conversation because you have one baseline, mention your favorite song and see where it goes from there. The idea of shared community is the idea of shared creativity, and something that I try to embody in everything that we're a part of. These are cycles of connection. You show up because of one thing. You connect with someone else. You learn something about the process and that person, and that leads you to want to come back the next time. That cycle of connection builds and breeds community. You're going to see some pictures in here that I just thought were fun from events that we've done over the years. This is an example of a picture. Turk is a photographer who I've worked with for about a decade, and he just captures some things. And every now and then you see these moments, right? You see these moments that are a little extraordinary. I mentioned earlier that often we think that creativity has to be big or groundbreaking. But some of the most extraordinary moments come from what's already around us that we miss. Now, I know you've heard me say that word extraordinary, and some of you, I saw your faces did like this. How do you pronounce it? It is. Because it's not just about pursuing things that are extraordinary, it's about pursuing things that are extraordinary, right? It's about finding the extra in these ordinary moments that we overlook. Because for me, the way that light has fallen on a wall has impacted the way a stage design looks. And the way that the cadence of feet on the street sounds has impacted the opening number for a program. But it only happens when you are paying extra attention to the ordinary. When you are deciding that the ordinary things are worth your intention. Because when you can imbue the ordinary with intention, when you can imbue it with focus, you start to see and experience things that didn't make sense prior to that. One example of that is an event that we did a couple of weeks ago, the Deep Ellum Block Party. Deep Ellum Block Party was something that was arguably 151 years in the making, but a year in the planning. And it was an opportunity for us to bring together the community in a way that celebrated all the beautiful things about Deep Ellum. On the list of things that I'm way too overcommitted for, I am on the board of the Deep Ellum Foundation, and it is one of the singular joys of my life. I got lost 16 years ago when I came to Dallas, and I ended up in Deep Ellum. And if you remember Deep Ellum from 16 years ago, it wasn't necessarily a place that you wanted to get lost, but I remember driving through the streets in my Mustang convertible. I was very cool, and thinking, I need to be here, but this feels like home. These blocks feel like the blocks that I grew up in. One of the things I love, you can see this picture that Chuck captured shows revelers inside and out. This, to me, is a little bit of the magic of Deep Ellum. Because what you're not seeing, that what this still image doesn't capture, she's dancing, right? She's outside, there's a hip-hop cycle happening inside, and they are grooving, and so is she. Turk saw that moment, that extra in the ordinary, and was able to capture what on the surface could look like a dividing line between two audiences, but in reality was a point of connection that we would not have seen, that he would not have seen if he had not been looking for that extra. Creativity is about discovery. Looking for that extra gives you the ability to do that. Now for me, the exploration of creativity has not been a linear line. It's been a meandering path through like everything. Let's take a little bit of a look at the things that I've done in the course of this career that I now have. I've been an audio engineer and a video technician, a lighting designer, a caterer, a car salesman that didn't work out, a restaurant server, a wedding planner, a DJ, a web developer, an IT technician, an intern in the Brooklyn DA's office, an international nonprofit director of marketing, a field marketing rep, and I worked for one of the most successful hedge funds in the history of America. And I'll be, no, yeah, that's a lot. But here's the thing, I wasn't actually good at anything, like at all. Like I tried, and I remember having conversations with my mom and like, what about like a job? Like what about like finding something that you do? And that was my desire. My desire was to find the thing that I was good at. People told me that I was a great conversationalist and that I could sell ice to people living in Antarctica. And I was like, great, I'll sell cars. But that shit sucks. If that is what you do, pursue your truth, I am happy for you. 'Twas not the case for me. For a long time, I looked at my inability to find my place as a failure, as a series of failures. I wanted desperately to find that thing, and when I didn't, I thought that I wasn't going to amount to whatever this thing is that I was supposed to be. And honestly, it wasn't until I started to understand the idea of skill adjacencies that it kind of started to make sense. A skill adjacency is this idea that there are things that you are good at. That you were good at them because you were born that way or because you learned the skill. but you know that you're good at it. You know that you can plan events. You know that you can draw. You know that you can sing. You know what you can do. Then every now and then, something comes along and it's like, I mean, that's close to what I can do. Team at the Event Nerd hears this from me a lot, right? It's like, no, I hear you, but what about this? Like, this is mostly somewhat like this thing that you're good at. Like, Michelle, you've drawn things before, right? Great. Do you want to also now launch a multinational broadcast and create all the graphics for it, and we have 2 weeks? Cool, great. But she said yes. So that the next time it was like, well, you said yes the last time, so what about now? Or it's saying to Dave Rodriguez and Eric Trich, y'all do art things, because I didn't really fully know then what it was. Y'all do art things. You want to come do art things in virtual reality in 3 dimensions in front of an audience of 2,000 people? You do? Great, because I sold it to the client. So it's this idea of, here are the things that you're good at. Here are the things that you're open to. And then you get good at that. But that's not where it stops, because then there's something else that you're kind of good at that's kind of like this thing that was kind of like this thing. And so before you know it, you're standing over here with all of these skills, this train of skills that would not have happened if you had not been open to the skills that you were adjacent to. Imagine a Venn diagram. On one circle is what you already know. The other is what you're curious about or willing to try. The overlap, that glowing middle, that intersection, is where the innovation and the creativity happens. It's where you unlock new possibilities. You start good at one thing, curiosity or opportunity takes you to something else that's a little bit different. And so you leap, you learn, and you repeat. That's skill adjacency. The things that I had to good at now I should not be good at. But what I learned in me being a failed audio engineer and lighting designer and IT technician is that I can have conversations with the people that are exceptional at it. Like, there comes a point, Clayton can have way deeper conversations than I can. But I can get to a point where I can at least engage intelligently in the dialogue that we're having. Because at some point, I said yes to the skill that was adjacent to the skill that I knew. IT tech happened because I kept taking apart my stuff at the house. And I figured I might as well do something that makes me money. But then it requires like focus and follow up, and I didn't really do that, so it didn't work out. But you leap, you learn, you repeat. Skill adjacency shows up not just in the, quote, creative industries, because fuck that noise, all aside. If you say that you are a creative, stop that shit, because you're not. Because that presumes that you are in a class unlike other people. If everyone is creative, then no one is a creative, because we all are. That is not in my notes. It's just a hot button of mine. Stop worrying yourself about creative. Do what I have to do. Okay? Thanks. But my wife is a badass realtor. Just celebrated 4 years and has broken every record at her company. But before she was a realtor, when we met, when I was a DJ, she was a wedding planner. And there were some things that you learn as a wedding planner that I now see show up in the work that she does. The idea of walking into a space, seeing it blank, and knowing what's possible there. The idea of helping a client, a bride, a potential home buyer, helping them understand that their vision is possible, that it might require modification, but it is absolutely possible. So these ideas of empathy, these ideas of vision casting that started with her as a wedding planner, ended with her being an award-winning realtor. And by ended, she's not gonna. We got lots of stuff yet to come. But skill adjacencies, whether she realized it or not, were a part of what led her to the successful career that she's gotten at. And I look at her, and we've been married for 12 years, together for 13, and I now see, like, this is the thing she's supposed to be doing. All the sales jobs that she had, all of the admin roles that she had, the things that she was underqualified to do, were so that she could get the qualifications to do this. Because she was open to stepping next to the stage. At the Event Nerd, we believe in this idea of adjacencies and intersections all the time. Because it's not just skill adjacencies, it's the adjacencies of the experience. Because those intersections are where innovation happens. Those engineers and artists, those caterers and designers, those web developers and photographers working together on the program are the spaces where innovation happens. Those are the opportunities when that innovation comes together, where people out there look up and say, oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Take Crossroads Hip Hop Brunch. This is an event we did back in 2022, and on the surface, it's a brunch. It's Questlove, the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and some food. But it was more, right? We wanted this to be a moment of cultural connection. We wanted to highlight the work of Big Thought. We wanted to highlight the work of local dance organizations. We wanted to be a part of celebrating the experience that is Dallas. And Questlove happened to be available. So it was like, yeah, you want to come do this with us? Great. But it was Questlove on stage with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, live orchestration, and then projection that visuals all the way around, created by my boy Eric Tritch right there over on my right or left. It was a time. It was a time. And I know several people in the audience were there, and so thank you all for being a part of that experience. We had art that was created by local artists J.M. Rizzi and Jeremy Biggers. All of it came together to tell a really powerful, really dynamic, one-time only story. Or Valent Biosciences. Now, Valent Biosciences, on its surface, is boring. They create mosquito spray for cities. So, like the city of Dallas is probably one of their clients. They've got multiple countries in Africa who are their clients, and they sell mosquito spray. And they came to us and said, we have this trade show happening, and we want to have a dope trade show booth. And I was like, I don't do trade show booths, because those are boring. And they're like, well, we have a 30 by 30 space. And I was like, oh, well, that's different. And so we collaborated and created a movie. Had I ever created a movie? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Never have. Had I ever created an animated movie with an original score by an Emmy and Oscar award-winning composer? No. Had I ever called David and Eric and Steel Trendier, I called them a lot for the crazy shit. Had I ever called them and said, hey, you guys, look, Eric, you've animated stuff before, right? Yeah. Cool. Dave, you've drawn things multiple times, right? Yeah. You want to make a movie? And they were like, yeah. Little did I know this movie would end up with like a sound designer in Germany and people in New York, and us learning literally about how the movie industry works while we got this movie, the superhero movie, we return the client's product into a superhero in 2 months. I don't recommend that. We're still confident in sleep. I thank you, Mark. It was good fantastic. So it happened because people were willing to say yes. And the people that said yes were misfits. If you ever hear me talk about the team, I always talk about them as creative misfits. A misfit, I'll read it so I don't mess it up. A misfit is defined as a person whose behavior or attitude sets them apart from others in an uncomfortably conspicuous way. But a creative misfit, right, is someone whose creativity doesn't necessarily or always fit in one place. This is what I needed to hear when I was trying to be a car citizen. I needed to understand that it wasn't that I was broken, it wasn't that I was failing, it's that I was misfitting by trying to be the one thing. Me being a car salesman, ill-fated and short-term as it was, gave me the ability to have any conversation with anyone about anything, except cars. Like, that was also part of it. Is I don't know anything about cars, and I don't want to know anything about cars, so that presented some challenges. But the creative misfitting is what enabled me to understand that being an IT tech helped me understand when we're coming up with crazy ideas and want to figure out how to make sure that it all networks and works within one infrastructure. Being a creative misfit, for me, is the goal. Get the still adjacencies that won't fit in one place, and that's fine. Be a misfit. Creative misfitry shows up with my boys. 2 boys who exercise and express their creativity very differently. Ezekiel is reflective, contemplative, he holds it in, and then one day he shows up with the idea fully baked in vivid color and telling it all to you. Isaac, on the other hand, does not wait that long. Isaac bursts in bold, not really probably knowing how to do the thing, but he's gonna try it and then iterate, which is a really nice way of saying he gets bored and moves on to something else, and push all the boundaries. Because what are they for, apparently, if not to be pushed? But these two misfits show their creativity up in really, really powerful ways. During the panini, I call it the panini now pandemic because that word adds too much power. During the panini, my boy Byron and I went on a journey to discover the creative misfits. The people who embrace and live in their authentic creativity. They were plant people and omakase dessert makers and nonprofit leaders and comedians and a woman who, if you've heard any sound from space in like the past 10 years, it's because she willed it to be so. These are the people who wouldn't necessarily be looked at as creative, but are. Often the author is seen as creative, but not the accountant who made sure that book got there on time and under budget. But why? And why not? A couple of years ago, I was frustrated. I was frustrated because I was having a hard time communicating what it is that we do, who it is that we are as a company. Not an ad agency. I like to say that we're the accidental agency because it was a bunch of people who liked doing stuff, and then people kept calling us and saying, you can do other stuff too, right? And this team was like, yeah, we can do that. It's mostly like the thing that we did before. And so that led to us being, at times, web developers, broadcast television producers, event designers, turning cavernous warehouses into beauty, and turning places in the middle of nowhere into masterpieces. In thinking through how I wanted to communicate who we are and what we do, I knew that I didn't want a sizzle, right? Everyone does it. Every creative quote-unquote industry sends out a sizzle to show your work at the end of the year. I didn't want to create a sizzle. I wanted to capture the spark. I didn't want to create another reel, so we created a word. I would introduce you to Tennyson E. Ngaze. Tennyson is the protagonist in a book that, well, you guys are the first to hear about. The name of this book is The Curious Quest of Tennyson E. And this genuinely started because I didn't know how to tell the story of what we do. I didn't understand how to explain what it meant to be a creative misfit that navigated from music to art to culture to technology to food to celebration. I didn't know how. So I embodied a bear in that journey, in that pursuit. So The Curious Quest of Tennyson Eddy tells the story of Tennyson on a journey to discover what we, if you're reading the book because you're an adult, know is creativity. It's him meeting up with a cousin who has told him about this land that he can go to that is full of dopeness. And Tennyson says, yeah, I'll try that. But it's more than that. This is actually a story that's a marketing tool in the middle of a story with an experience wrapped around it. Every land is a land created based on an event that we created over the course of the past 13 years. You've got Bengani, a land where people celebrate big, and they celebrate big moments and little moments and every moment in between. Birthday Party Project. You've got Ulam, where they communicate through music and where melody and harmony are the ways that they solve issues and entering discourse. Inspired by Cresswell's Hip Hop Rush. You've got Lingen, where nature and science live in perfect harmony and create new things, inspired by Valent Biosciences. And Temba, the whole of Valansi, which is Spark, which is inspired by this team of baddies that I get to work around every day. It's this idea that creativity truly is a journey, and along the way, you pick up things that are different that make you better. But I'm a nerd, and I couldn't just stop at a children's book. So it's an augmented reality experience too. Every page has a part of the story, and some pages, when you hold your phone up, tell a deeper part of the story. Some pages, when you hold your phone up, come to life. Sound is heard, waves move, things happen to make the story bolder. Because it's the layering of those things that make the story bolder. It's not the fact that David, again, you see where I'm going, that David drew these amazing characters. It's not the fact that Dean, my cousin, who grew up on that same block, experiencing those same block parties, brought this world to life with his words. It's not that Eric animated the hell out of this book. It's that all of us said, yeah, we can do that. And we did. We said that we could, and we did. Now, we started this project 2 years ago, and we intended to have it out last year, but you know, life be life, and so that didn't happen. But this is a story of creative pursuit. This is a story that ultimately tells of the Yavin Naherd. Yeah. You got that? You got your, oh wait, I'll say it again. I'll say it differently. The Yavin Naherd, who is the holder of the creative spark, the Lansi. And Lansi is a derivation of a Zulu word that does mean spark. And so it's the story of how she helps Tennyson understand the world that he's in. She helps Tennyson understand that the creative spark that he says that he wants, right here, she's like, nah, bro, you've had it the whole time. And as he thinks back and reflects on all the experience he's had in the course of this book, he realizes that when he was in Lingen, he saw it. When he was in Ulan, he saw it. When he was in Banyani, he saw it. Because it's always been there. He's always had it. And I always like to give shout out to the people who help make stuff like that happen. And we call ourselves the Nerdy Thoughts Collective, right? And the Nerdy Thoughts Collective, though, isn't just the four of us. It's an ever-evolving cadre of people who say yes to skill adjacencies. Because the project is never going to be how the project started. David, who actually just saw the book for the first time in physical form today, because I do have 2 prototypes for you guys to check out, was like, this is way bigger than we started 2 years ago. And it is. Because the adjacencies don't stop. Along the way, Eric says, I just learned how to do this thing on the software that we're using, so we're going to add it. I'm like, I'm down. All right, great. This drops fully in January, but I've got a couple of copies for you guys to play around with. By January, because Eric said it was possible, there will be narration. Because why not? Because he said that we could. You also, when you came in, should have received the sticker. Some of you are sitting on it. I saw you sit on it. So, it's fine. Check your butt. Check your butt. And if you did come in earlier and you did see the sticker, then you probably tried to go to the website and you were like, oh, the website's not working. That's a failure of a creative individual, but it was on purpose. So go to the website now, suckers. So this sticker is also a part of the augmented reality experience. It takes a little bit of time to load, it's bandwidth dependent. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna blame the internets, but give it a second. Let it load. It's a QR code, so if you're on your phone, that QR code is also a link, so you can just actually tap the QR code and it'll take you. Select yes, and then once the camera app is opened, hold up Tennyson in front of your camera. Just to do it. So that for a little bit, for a millisecond. The idea of Tennyson on this journey, if I'm being transparent, is the idea of me on this journey, right? Me and the bow tie kind of been the other way, but it was this idea that I always felt that there was something more. I didn't know what, and I didn't know where. But then I discovered that it was in service, it was in music, it was in celebrating these moments, small and great, that matter to a lot of us. It was in those moments that really, really beautiful creativity happened. One of the things that I always like to do is do little surprises, right? One, I want you guys to come, hang out, check out this book, scan the QR code, make the thing just come alive. This is a prototype. What does that mean? It means it might break. It means that Eric was up till 4 this morning making sure that we had enough pages for you guys to scan. But all of the functions and the features are not live, but I wanted you all to see it. I wanted you all to mess around with it. I wanted you all to have it to play around with. And I want to switch to this. One of the things that Tennyson has taught me in this journey is the pursuit on this path yields things that I could not have known. The fact that 2 years ago what this project was is not fully what this project is because it's evolved says something about the journey of creativity, right? It says that because we were open to step into the side, to engaging with people whose creativity misfitted in enough places that they found the things that were impactful to them, it says to people that the journey of creativity is not linear and that it's okay that you fail at a bunch of shit. It's okay that you tried to be an artist and you can't draw a straight line with a ruler or cut a straight line with scissors. Chris was my first roommate when I moved to Dallas. He is a fantastic artist. There is no world in which I would dare to approach what he does. But I don't have to, because he does it, and a bunch of other things well. He understands the power of his creativity, and it shows up oftentimes as an optimist. There's no unity. But there's also the reality that everyone is creative. Remember that picture you took at the beginning? I want you to remember this. Everyone is creative. You are not A, you are the creative for your portion of your story. Another thing that I like to do is capture moments and highlight people who do dope things. And throughout the course of this presentation, Dave Rodriguez has been capturing, no, let's keep going, this. Just right. I'll make this available to the Creative Mornings team to share out with you. But if you're going to visual representation of the things that we talked about, because this is something that was challenging for me. I don't learn in the ways that other people learn. I learn typically more visually than through visually and tactile. And when I met David and he showed me this, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do more of that. So I'll share this out with you, but creativity shows up and is ingested in different ways. Everybody is creative. Thank you. I've got time for 3 questions. Not from my mom. Anybody got one? You can ask me, yes, Jessica.
What's the one thing you haven't done yet, monitor?
Oh dear. See, okay, so the question was, what's the one thing you've done yet that you haven't, what's the one thing you haven't done yet that you want to? I don't know that I have an answer for that. It's similar when someone asks me, what's your favorite type of event to produce? And I don't have one because I really like producing events, right? And I like producing them whether it's a corporate event or a trade show or a music festival. Like the month of November, we did between October and November, we did a domestic conference, an international conference, and a music festival. So the thing that I haven't done yet that I'm looking forward to is the next thing that I haven't done yet, because we're gonna throw ourselves on it. We're gonna throw our intention on it. We're gonna explore the ordinary parts of it that make the people in that room feel like it was made for them. That's super cagey answer, but it's what I have.
What are some of the rituals you do when you have your downtime to relax?
That's funny. Yeah, so what are some of the rituals that I do to reset and relax? That answers your question, Jessica. What is something that I haven't done yet that I want to do? I don't know, honestly. This is one of the challenges that I had. I was talking to my therapist, and I was talking about how the first part of the year we just don't have a lot of events happening, and like as a business owner, I'm feeling the type of way about that, right? I want to work, I want my people to work, I want us to do shit. And as therapists do, she said, so, and it's good that, we lean back in the chair thing that they do right before they're going to say a thing. And she goes, so what are you going to do with all this extra downtime? I don't know. So my rituals are, I really enjoy stuff. Like not buying stuff, seeing stuff, doing stuff, experiencing stuff. I like reading about random things. I like getting random memes from people or random links to, did you know that? I don't know if that's relaxing because my brain's not off, but no, I mean, I am open to ideas on things to relax. Yes, Jennifer.
What is then your biggest warming moment? So maybe to me then. So bright, right? What did you know the way? Or
I'll do a recent one. We did an event back in June. We've been planning it for 9 months. It had changed direction 12 times. And we were ready, We got on site, we were ticked and tied, there were spreadsheets and checklists and like things and such. And 20 minutes into the opening keynote, this was on the Pier 27 in San Francisco. 20 minutes into the opening keynote, a 14 block radius around the pier lost power. Yeah. What did I learn? There's the practical. I learned to always have a backup generator because the venue that we were at had a backup generator. But honestly, the thing that I learned in that moment, I could do nothing in that moment, right? I walked backstage and Clayton was pointing at things and saying stuff and people were doing things. And I was like, and I went and stood in the back of the room with the designers whose work was done and just let it happen. So for me, that moment was, let them cook, they got it. And it's a weird place when you built a company for 13 years, and for many of those, for the beginning part of those years, whether it succeeded or failed, rested on your shoulders and rested on your ability to do the thing and solve the problems. When you get to a place where you can look at the people who've been a part of this process for almost a decade and be like, oh, y'all got this? All right, come, let me know when I need to be worried. So that was something for me as a business owner, as someone who has been shepherding and building this thing for over a decade, that let them cook. They have the same focus and intention on making this work as you do, so let them cook. Can I do one more? Have it done.
ไหม actually nothing เพื่อแต่ครับ
I expect you to ask you a question.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But when they do, you say, oh, I'm just standing here because we don't have any power here. All right. Like,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And what's funny is, in that moment, I was actually getting ready to record an Instagram video, which I'm really horrible on Instagram, so if you're following me now, you'll probably wait for a while for me to post something. But I remember I was getting ready to post an Instagram video about the fact that the escalators were on for the first time. It was really random, extra in the ordinary, whatever. And as I get onto the escalator to go up, I'm still recording. I throw my phone in my pocket, and you hear me for the next 12 minutes. You hear me walk up to Clayton, and it sounds like a Charlie Brown. Like you hear this, and then you hear me standing there doing nothing. Nate says we're done. I'll be around. Grab your sugars, take them with you. Come check out the book. I appreciate you guys, man. This is one of my favorite places.